All right, we are live. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Digital Influence Show. I am Brandon Lee, and I have a great conversation coming up with us for all of us today with Bill Walton. Bill, welcome to the Digital Influence Show.
Brandon, thank you so much. Great to be here.
I'm really excited to have this conversation with you. And for everybody, let me just tell you a little bit about Bill. He's an Amazon best-selling sales author. He's got over 20 years experience as a sales coach, a facilitator, a digital sales enablement expert. His title is EVP of Sales for Digital Sales Enablement and Education at Ascend Advisors, which we're gonna unpack. I'm gonna ask you what the heck that means and see if we can chat through that.
Let's do that.
His work has been with SMBs in financial services, business services, and high tech. And some of the customers he's got right now are like Bank of America and Citrix and Chubb and UL and Avis Budget Group. And he's also an adjunct professor at the Walton School of Executive Education. So pretty impressive background there, Bill. Welcome to the show.
Well, hopefully I can support that. So great to be here and love the topic. So I'm ready when you are.
Hey, let's jump right in. I think the first thing is let's talk about your title at Ascend. What the heck does that mean for people going? What is digital sales enablement and education mean?
Well, I think the digital comes from, I guess what everyone can relate to is I'll equate digital with remote. Certainly as over the last few years where we've learned, we've become intimate with Zoom and what a video camera can and can't do for us in terms of our good looks and presenting a good brand to the outside world. I think what digital sales enablement is and what Ascend Advisors tried to do was create a greater platform for companies to have more of a dialogue about the issues that they were solving with whatever they made their solutions, whether you are an IT company, storage company, tier 2 pharma, biotech, whatever space that you're in. The digital piece is really having the conversation either about the science or the issue at hand, the issue fluency, we like to call it, and have better and support that with content and tools so that salespeople now can be what I kind of categorize as value creators 10 years ago. Now they can actually do it because the conversation matters now. It's not about the email and the cadence and first and second meeting. Those meetings are important, or bringing in that either that rainmaker or that really credible subject matter expert. We're now the subject matter expert, and we have to bring value fast. And, James and I at the firm, what we really try to do is take the coffee talk meeting off the table and start engaging digitally, whether it be on LinkedIn or any other type of social channels related to someone's industry or their sub industry. And so we've also created these digital tools to satisfy this voracious appetite for content and to be able to represent a brand digitally and engage digitally, not only the conversation, but what you show and what you relate and how you engage. We're big fans of doing executive briefings remotely that really kind of focus on issues of the day that leaders or salespeople or clients and buyers really want to focus on. We're driving a better conversation. We're using digital tools and technology and remote learning to be able to do that just in time, really quick, for folks that maybe haven't been traditionally in a sales role, but now they've got some business development responsibility.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great point too, is that whether it's remote or digital or whatever the term that people want to use, it's not just the sales team anymore. I mean, it's customer success, it's account executives, it's HR, it's even the C-suite. How are you addressing that across the different work units?
I'm a big fan of supporting corporate cultures. And I think back to my graduate work, I had a chance to meet one of my idols, Terry Deal. He wrote a book called The New Corporate Cultures. He's a LA police officer, fell in love with leadership development when he went back to USC and got his master's and wrote a lot about the financial benefit of investing in your culture. And so what do you see in the highway on LinkedIn? So proud to talk about our talent, both diverse, inclusive, women, men, technical, non-technical, right? I think companies are realizing that this fiber that's our culture needs to be developed. And I think that's where the digital pieces come in, is to say, listen, we still have a culture, even though I'm not there in the office and we're not seeing each other at the K-cup machine or at lunch, we're still here. We're still who we are. We just need to figure out how we can mean more to one another. And companies really struggle, but eventually we're resilient and finding ways to keep that connective tissue for people together. And I would say, that's how it relates to cultures, but how it relates to the selling function is so many non-salespeople now are getting involved in touching sales, whether you're a subject matter expert, whether you're a process person, whether you have more of financial acumen, a financial background, if you're managing large accounts, that a lot of these folks aren't used to looking into a camera all day long or talking about themselves. How do I introduce myself? It's one of the highest rated modules that we train people on is the 3-part introduction.
Wow.
Folks just don't know how to do it. And I'm a big believer in the power of 3. So that's, I think, how digital is impacting non-sales people, is really kind of holding cultures together and letting people communicate, letting them be who they want to be and stay excited about the work.
Wow, that's really interesting. And this isn't just, it's digital, but it's really translating. And this is what I thought I heard you say. It's translating those real life skills into a remote or a digital or a social environment. Is that what I'm picking up on?
Yeah, I think so. And the skills piece that you mentioned, I think I look at that in a couple ways. There's your functional skills of whatever you do, either how analytical you are, how numerical your work is, how quantitative your work is, versus are you a creative, are you an innovator? And I think people that are kinesthetic beings that love to be in front of a whiteboard, love to riff back and forth, and are encouraged and very happy to hand over the expo whiteboard marker to someone else and let's create this thing, this model. We've had to do that remotely, and I think that's been a challenge in terms of how you like to put your muscle into your work, so to speak. But how people learn, how they relate. I think the hardest thing is helping people understand, like, I think people have found their own level as to how do I leverage my energy now, because time is infinite. Some people think it's finite. It's actually intimate. I can work any 18 hours a day that I want, but I know I'm not going to be productive. I might not be innovative and creative, which is what clients are typically paying you for. So I think a lot of colleagues, a lot of cultures, coming back to culture, are figuring out a way to put their best energy forward and really trying to understand what various audiences in an organization need to have that channel. So they feel connected. And there's platforms for everything from project management to ideation to, if you can think about it, you can make it happen. You can manifest it. And human touch is coming back. It's not going to be long, but again, my hat's off to everyone that's been resilient and found a way to get their good work done, but also be a good doobie to other people that are trying to contribute to your work, your success, and other people are trying to find their way.
Yeah, that's really good. Thanks for that, Bill. And you'd said it, which I thought was really fascinating, that you have a course on the 3 steps to an introduction, like a Zoom or a video introduction. What are some of the other challenges that companies are facing in this transition into digital?
I think it's a challenge that's being met now. One of the things I'm very happy about, and I know our colleagues at Ascend would be happy about, is a lot of these digital / interactive marketing groups that have been either converted or brought on board over the last 5 to 10 years now have a seat at the big table. They've come out of the low light into the spotlight and creating content and thought pieces that are relevant, that are timely, graphically pleasing, can be shared across any platform. They're finally giving us the dialogue and the great words and the curiosity points to go have very genuine conversation. So I would think that has been a big part of what we've seen in this transition. It's really been seminal. In addition to people, how they talk about themselves, I think how you now reflect capability. One of the things I've been talking about with salespeople, this is more of a training technique, is I think, and this is also a creative / advertising dictum or tip or hack, if you will, is if your proposal or your thinking is too final too soon, it's just that. When I think digital this remote kind of digital operating environment has allowed us to do, because we have the time. We're not in a car, we're not on a plane, we're not commuting, we're not doing the trains, planes, and automobiles as we used to. We've got a time for that extra, what I call that extra session in between. That we've got time for the proposure, which is proposal and brochure without the money. Forget about the money. If it's too final too soon and the money's already attached to it, we're seeing just a lot of opportunities stall. But I think now there's value in the conversation. There's value in, to me, getting you bought into the concept and the idea, so that when we get to the investment, or we get to fees, or we get to, kind of enterprise funding, there's more rational pragmatism to it, because we've all painted the corners. We've all raised the flag and got everyone bought in. And I think the best salespeople and consultants now, they're mastering the art of playback. I heard you the last meeting. Here's what I heard you say. I'd love to. Today is really about carrying that forward. Or we realize that, hey, listen, we've got a few more pieces of the puzzle to fill in out on the kitchen table for you. And I think once we get there, we could really stand pretty firm on some of our recommendations.
That's really good.
That ability for that a little bit more time on the engagement piece before you go, oh, you know what? No problem, Brandon. Gotcha. Let me send you the proposal. Let me get it to you by Friday, because I know you're gonna really dig into it over the weekend, which you never do.
Right.
There's higher levels of engagement with my thinking. So we're seeing a lot of shifts now. I think on the sales and consulting side, we're seeing trusted advisor go to the next level.
Right. I like that.
A thinking partner,
concept.
Right.
Right. A thinking partner. And what I heard you say, or the term that I like to use, is going slow to move fast. I feel like we're in a season now with buyers that, just as you said, oh, let me hurry up and get the proposal and send it out to you. It's like we hurry up to wait, or we slow it down and move faster. And it's counterintuitive, right?
It is. And I teach this all the time, and I'll never forget, I was working with a large bank, and they wanted to do some talent development for some of their financial professionals, early career, that needed that next level of development. And we met for half an hour, and this person asked for a proposal. and I paused, and I said, I don't know enough yet. And I said, I'd be happy to do that. I have some initial thoughts. How would you like it to look? In what format? How about a couple of slides, and let's set up another time? No, go ahead. You can put the pricing against it. And I didn't do it. I put some thinking together, and then I had a blank slide, and I said, you know what, I realized, and we didn't have the time to talk about this, but I need to know a little bit more about these 3 areas.
And that was,
and I took some risks, but I really thought I needed that, because the proposal was better. I had more spoken words. I had more thumbprints. Buyers buy into what they have a hand in creating. And I got those fingerprints on the ultimate process, the third way, which is a combination of all of our approaches and aspirations. So I'm sorry, I'm over talking here, but that's how I really saw that kind of play out.
Yeah. I mean, it shows so much of the Gartner data, the McKinsey data, and all the reports are that buyer's journey, and them, as you just said, them taking ownership and getting their fingers into things and getting a little bit dirty. And I do think that is really teaching salespeople to go a little bit slower in the process, even though they can smell the request for a proposal, maybe resist it a little bit. And that's a discipline and a skill that's hard to teach.
Yeah, I mean, and I think you hit it right on the head, talking about buyer journeys, and so you have to kind of really triangulate, because value, I have found, is industry and role specific, and in some industries, industry, role, and maybe subject matter expertise level or therapeutic area level if you're in pharma, or distribution level where you sit on the fence in financial services, whether you're an advisor, asset manager, or a mutual fund creator, marketer. How you perceive value and where you are matters. I think people have learned that, hey, going to the C-suite is really not going to pay off, but you got to get to the accountable executive. And if you get to someone of consequence, they're going to want to know that you've spoken to the key people in their organization anyway. So I think in some of the early hacks that we use in this digital environment is I just have people Google the job description of who you think is who you're going to meet with next, the folks in the journey, the folks on the hit parade. Google their job description, because those job descriptions say so much about challenges and issues and what the realm of the scope of their job is. And some of these job descriptions, titles lie. A vice president could be really someone of consequence, or it could be, a step above, assistant manager. So you really need to know that. And that helps you have a high degree of empathy and appreciation for someone's role, given all that's in their remit. And everything gets to be, starts tailoring and funneling into this very stakeholder specific, genuine conversation that you really want to design and architect. And it's possible to do it.
Yeah, that's really good. Well, I'm going to shift gears on you because
Sure.
we had this question come in from Thomas on LinkedIn. You were talking earlier about culture. He asked a question: how do you translate culture through your tech stack?
I think when I think of a tech stack and I think about technology that gets used, right, as someone who sold software and lived and died by utilization reports every quarter, I think the culture and the use of technology is what the air of expectation is in the culture of you being agile and resilient and, for lack of a better term, productive.
Mm-hmm.
I know that. So you need to really tap into what's the level of proficiency. Because now if I had to isolate sales organizations, you can have anywhere between 3 to 4 demographic groups or life stages under one roof now. From kids that are just, I say kids affectionately, early career professionals coming off the college campus in their first year or two of working, to mid-career, to someone who's approaching the big 6-0 that still has relationships, still has vim and vigor, and still rainmaking. They look at technology, the interaction of such, and how they leverage it in their interactions differently. So in a way, you have to take a look at your culture to think about the tech stack that you enable and what you use and the usability of it. So there's a high level of utilization as you're spending all these SaaS fees every month or every year. So that's how I kind of use the cultural lens to kind of look at how you would think about a tech stack. And I think everyone's looking for less clicks. I think everyone's looking for more visual, easy, pre-populated, have the journey on the tool, or whatever the technology is, be intuitive, unless you're in DevOps where, that's kind of your job, is to create those user interfaces. That's what I'm seeing as a culture, as a lens, it's a great question. Thanks to our listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and then thank you for that answer. That was really good. But so as we're talking about those things, you got culture challenges and you've got tech challenges, you've got buyer challenges, buyers are behaving differently. What do you think, if you could narrow it down to like the top 2 to 3, either challenges or behavior changes? Because I think there's a big piece right now of behavior modification. Our buyers have changed so much that our seller behavior has to change. What are the top 2 to 3 biggest behavioral changes that salespeople or even customer success people need to make, like yesterday?
Yeah, I think, and this change has become, I would say, 2 changes that I've been recommending for 10 years, but they've really been shot out of a cannon over the last 2 because of our current situation. One is you got to bring value fast and lead with business acumen and not your solution acumen.
Right.
And there's a huge difference. And there's a way to kind of bifurcate or kind of separate what I mean by business acumen. That's high knowledge and empathy and issue fluency of the business that your buyer is in, that your clients are in, your target prospects are in, but also the issue fluency of the individual, whether it be marketing, a CSO, any high level financial professional, or someone in sales, or someone in supply chain. So that's a factor. The other factor is, at the end of the day, we're selling comfort, because what's really interesting today is as the buying organization, now we're all remote. How are we making decisions now? How am I going to go to Walgreens, get my neck brace on, and say, "Hey, boss, I recommend that we spend this 50 grand, 100 grand, 2 million. I've done all my research and I'm standing by it. We have to provide enough comfort so those conversations happen. So how do those conversations happen in a remote world? If it's a one pager with a big fat number on it and I just emailed it to you, there's just not enough context. So in a way, we're helping our clients sell better internally, influence better internally, connect to objectives, issues, ideas, metrics, KPIs internally within the client, because the alignment has to be really, really tight.
Got it.
And I'm seeing that as a shift. So, and part of that comfort comes from not only is your organization the right solution, but I trust this person and they've been a great ambassador to me. And you've also maybe orchestrated some good peer matching and some SMEs to give them comfort that your organization can deliver, because they're going to need the comfort when they go and present the number.
Yeah. So what is that? How does that, like, I love what you said, and helping sellers learn how to be more empathetic and walk alongside buyers and give the buyer more confidence, so that when they go and present their recommendation internally, they're confident and ready to go. What does practically that look like for whether it's the seller or other people on the selling team? Like, how are they doing that with digital or social? What's different?
Yeah, well, that's a great point. Great segue. So a couple of things are happening that are different. So I think the organizations that are doing it well, digital marketing and sales, have joined at the hip, and they've all come to the conclusion we can't have a sales strategy or go to market strategy without a content strategy. What do we stand for? What's our point of view? How are we contributing to the higher mind of the space that we're in? Whether it's enterprise software, data storage, AI, whatever your solution might be, what are we doing to drive the community that we're all operating in? So that's one. Number two, I'll just use LinkedIn as an example. One of the things that is happening digitally, what we have to do is break up and segment the things, that the activity and the engagement with a platform like LinkedIn. We break it into three. And I really want our audience to get this, is that a lot of people have not had success on LinkedIn and they're souring on it. And I'm sad for that, because they haven't done this. And this is what this is. First off, you need to earn the right to connect. You want to really be clear on who you want to connect with and why, and acknowledge that you're coming up in the same leadership circles, content circles, industry circles. And I thought I would reach out. I'd be honored to be connected on LinkedIn and have some professional but authentic messaging to earn the right for that first connection. Now, how you earn that right is not so much that invitation, but it's the response and reaction someone gets when they go to the famous two words, that blued out live link in LinkedIn, when they click on view profile. That profile needs to have a banner that's representative of your industry and what you do, a good headshot, a great descriptor of who you are. Your title and description needs to show that you are a fluent leader and thought leader in your space, and that you and your company together have a lot of value to deliver because you're committed to your space and you're a learned individual. It's also, you're going to see in someone's profile, have they adopted the giving hand is always full mindset? What are you giving back to the community? What are you offering in terms of thought leadership? So that's how you build first connections on LinkedIn, is by being really disciplined and intentional about who, about why, but having your profile reflect that. That's really important. Right. The second is the engagement piece. All right. There's content abounds for these folks that you want to connect with in first connections. Go to see what they choose to share on their profile, the content they choose to share, and the opinions and ideas that they're positing into the ethosphere. And go to that. Have a point of view. Don't just say like or hey, great, super, thumbs up. It's have a point of view on that. Thanks for sharing this. I've been looking for something like this. I would like, it's kind of how you and I got together. We kind of modeled the process. And then you have to have content. Hey, please, I would love your thoughts. Glad for your thoughts and opinions on this piece, I found this great article from McKinsey. They're kind of talking about the advantages of remote selling and remote business and how organizations can still work remotely and be successful. Here's what I found that was interesting for the blank blank industry. Love your thoughts. So you're creating this engagement, this two-way. It's like a saloon door that swings both ways. And through that engagement and being professionally playful, and I love Messenger. I'm a LinkedIn pro and whatever the top membership scale is. But we're having these great chats in Messenger, and sometimes it comes to the point where, hey, we should just probably jump on the phone.
Right.
Well, here's a Zoom link. I would love to chat. And I call it my :15 minutes, :20, :15. And today it's no longer BS. You can have a meaningful conversation in 15 minutes versus showing up to say, hey, I'm in your neighborhood. Can I come up to the 13th floor? We can talk for 15 minutes. It's not that anymore. It's amazing what you can do. And that's your virtual coffee talk meeting.
Right.
So if you're with me, connect, but also have that good backup of your profile, engage both ways, on yours, on theirs, and then earn the right to segue that to a very casual but intentional offline conversation to start talking about what you both do and your aspirations.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, I like that. And I think we're my little bit of pushback on that is what we've learned through some data is reversing the order a little bit. Engage before the connection request goes out. And we're watching, we're seeing upwards of 40% more accepted connections and 50 to 60% increase in conversations in that short period of time, because it's a difference of going from a cold connection request to a known entity that sends the request.
Yeah, I mean, I love that, Brandon. I mean, I would champion that, and that's kind of what I think folks like you and I just do intuitively. But now that's trainable, and I would say that's best practice. But that comes back to what we were talking about before around the issue fluency. You've got to blend a little bit of this passion, your know-how, and some really deep acumen of your space, and have some thoughts to bring. You have to. This is where our saw really needs to be sharp in terms of our career, our learnedness, our training, what we're reading, because your topical and relevant point of view now matters. You just need to back it up and have some fun with the conversation.
Yeah, I think that's huge. I appreciate you saying that. And one of the things that I think with whether it's salespeople or customer success or AEs, it doesn't matter. This isn't a marketing job. This isn't a C-suite job. This isn't everybody's job. Just like if you're all in the same room at at a conference or at a networking event, you don't sit back and just let the C-suite go and do their talking and wait to be called upon. Yeah, everybody fans out and goes out and builds relationships and conversations at scale, and getting people to open their digital mouths, I think, is really, really important. And my observation, it's one of the hardest things to get done because it's a big behavior change.
I think about a book that was written by a dear colleague of mine, and it was how to become a great playing partner. And it's a story. It's a sales story told through a round of golf with a wise former businesswoman who had a lot of history, a lot of success, and it was some great lessons. And I'll tie those lessons into Bob Burg's book, The Go-Giver. The giving hand is always full. Like, I really feel like being successful on social media and digital channels is a giving game. It's not a taking game.
Right.
I'm seeing some of the comments come in from our audience, which I'm loving. And I'm just so glad for their success and that they want to share that with us, because number one, it feels better. People are going to be more receptive to your point of view, and we're all trying to help each other. And I find it, I'm more of a tennis player now than a golfer, but I still play golf. When I'm more focused on my partner's game, ball flight, club, down and distance, all that, and I'm not focused on me, I have a better time. They play better. I play better. It's one of those inalienable kind of truths and rules of abundance that is never going to go out of style, but it's become almost a necessity in our digital world now. So
yeah,
no tech stack can replace that. We've got to have that in addition to the tech stack and all the great tools that we have.
Well, Bill, I love the conversation. I love talking around LinkedIn and the tool and the activity. We kind of didn't get on the tech stack as deep as we had thought about. Maybe you can come back another time. But I want to wrap us up and just be sensitive to time. But Thomas, KP, Deb, others that have commented, thank you so much for doing that. Thanks for participating and being involved. And then, Bill, where can people find you?
Yeah, please find us at ascendadvisors with an e.com. You can also find us on LinkedIn, both myself and our CEO, James Jacoby, up on LinkedIn. But our website offers a lot of tools. There's a lot of free downloads, a lot of insights, and so does our profile. And again, back to what we were talking about before, we really try to give and let platforms like LinkedIn, in addition to website, give you a lot of insight. So I would say find us on LinkedIn. Just come talk to us, engage with us as we kind of talked about today, and then go to Ascend Advisors, advisors.com. Lots to share, lots to learn, and hopefully we can talk more.
That sounds great. Well, Bill, thank you so much. And everybody, thanks for joining me again on the Digital Influence Show. As Bill said, find us on LinkedIn, put comments down below, tag Bill, tag myself, and we'd love to keep the conversation going. And for everybody, I'll say we'll see you next Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern on the next Digital Influence Show. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you.